I want to talk, apologize a little academically about strategic goals management, because if we agree on how we're going to manage these, it means the accountability and the field of vision Eric's talking about will be real. So I'm going to take a minute and say, if I were you, I would do it this way. It doesn't mean you have to, but I'm going to give you some guidelines that we use with workforce boards and EDOs and departments of commerce. So it's already connected to economic development, education, talent delivery. It's a best practice with the U.S. Department of Labor. It's used by your peers and organizations like this all over America. So it'll allow you, Kathy, to plug and play. When you stand up at a great symposium in 5 years and they say, how did you do this? You can show the connection, and people around America would go, oh, okay, I understand what a collaborative partnership is. So this is an important little academic conversation because you have to live with this for years to come, Rudder team. So here we go. And stop me if you need to. Right. So here's what they're supposed to do. Support and elaborate on the mission of the organization, which means if you tell somebody what you intend to do and what your vision is, they're going to go, really, prove it. Right? That's what I mean by support. And you're going to go, we're going to do 4 things. Really. It's proof, proof, proof.
Don, who's
yes.
the organization?
Well, we don't know yet. Right now, the Rudder team needs to put the framework in place and see what needs to be done. I would say, I'm going to play this assumption. I believe that organization and governance follows strategy. That the tendency would be, all right, we need to form a governance team, we need an organization. I would go, no, what do you want to do? And then we can figure out how we're going to do that. Now tell me where you're going. Let me give you this.
So, I just want to be clear that at some point in time we're going to deal with that issue rather than just generate a plan or a strategy and then sort of dump it on the floor
right.
and say, Kathy, that's your job for the next 5 years.
I insist. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And that if we go to the project level, it may become obvious to us that, I use Kathy as an example, this component of this work, we're all going to go, oh, that's you, isn't it? And you're going to go, yeah, help me, please, because I don't have the capacity I need to get there. And we're going to go, all right, we're going to help you. If you agree on the metrics that we are setting at a regional level and a local level, let's go do it. So that's the basic, thank you for that, the basic theory, okay? All right, so they're actionable and achievable. That's what you do in your own enterprises. We utilize adjectives in order to promote measurement and definitions. So in the language we use is, I wouldn't expect you to say, we're going to do things, we feel this way, or we like this. No more categories. It's great, it's excellent, it's fast. The reason I'm insisting on adjectives, if you tell me, Alan, it's great, I want to be able to go, oh, really, prove it. And you're going to go, great, we measure it 5 ways, we got 2 projects. That's what the adjectives do for us. So today, you don't have to finally select the adjectives, but it really, really matters, and I invite you to add it as we go. It should be defined by achievements. How do you know? That's what I would say. Prove it. How do you know? It should demand proof of concept. If you tell me what your strategic objective is, you would expect me to go, oh, I think I know what your metrics are. If you told me what your metrics are or your successes, I would go, oh, I think I know what the objective is. Nice and simple. Challenge staff experts to write operating plans, and what I mean by that is each of you, as this plays out, are going to go, oh, I think I do that. There might be a labor market information component. And so you start feeling the heat. You too, Kath, you're going to feel the heat, like, oh my gosh, I feel like this is heading my way. And that's what it's intended to do. So you can stand up early and go, wait a minute. I'd like to do it, I can't afford it. Or I use a different measurement. So we start aligning that early. It overlaps and interrelates to create a balanced scorecard. Balance, each one matters. So we don't want a lot of strategic objectives. 3, 4, 5 really good ones, each equally weighted. Identify and leverage collaborative partners and missing resources. And that kind of goes to, sir, what you're talking about. It creates a bigger and bigger portfolio of relationships. It's all collaboration. And I had a chance to speak with the president of Mount Holyoke this morning. We were talking about collaboration, and we both said, collaboration with an attitude. This is not handshake stuff. This is contract stuff. You know, if you're really in the game, are you aligned? Does your annual report have the same numbers we do? And since most of us are boomers, from what I can tell, with apologies if I got it wrong, we were all raised to be discreet, right? If someone's in your space, you're supposed to get out of it, right? You've done planning, and they're like, oh, no, no, we're not on our own. We're not independent. That's not what I'm talking about here. This is overlap, overlap, overlap. Your annual report has the same metric yours does, the same yours does, the same yours does. One for all for one. It's just that each of us are going to do specific pieces of the work. So to Bill's point, right, who's looking at that? Who's pushing it? Right now, the rudder team. You know, if there's a better piece of governance that needs to do it, we need to move ourselves into that format. If there's an existing organization that does it, God bless you, let's go there. But collaboration means more than a handshake, and it ain't the boomer world anymore. We're going to share our scorecard together and give each other credit for what we're doing. Right? Okay, keep going. Yes, Don? Okay, great, Dan. Okay, statement of intent, I just want to go back to what we intend to do, which in a sense is, what is the business of this enterprise, Bill, right now? What's our business? We intend to identify and activate assets for jobs, enterprises, entrepreneurs, and investment by testing ideas and assumptions every step of the way with the people who make the real decisions about jobs and investment, making honest, data-driven decisions about the most meaningful opportunities for our community. And boy, is that going to be about goals and projects. Next. Producing and continuously updating an innovation district strategy with our expectations for growth and redevelopment, drawing on our strengths and heritage, and linking to enterprises and jobs of the future, and leveraging all the full power, the full extent of the Pioneer Valley regional assets and connectivity with state and federal resources, and doing our part in transforming the reputation and future of our region. This is the business of this particular enterprise. So somebody says, what are you doing? We all agreed on this a few weeks ago, remember? This is what we're doing. Right, so we're beyond this. Now let's do some business. Next, Dan. All right, so here's the model. Nice and simple. We need to deal with the aspirations that we have for this community, which have been forming quite beautifully in the past few weeks and months. We need to be able to say those very clearly, very succinctly. We need to have an aspiration for whatever this enterprise is going to be, Bill. But I think there's beautiful things happening when the aspiration for the market you serve is exactly the same as the mission or the aspirations that you have for your own company. Your community college is like that. If I tell you what you want to enable in terms of jobs and learning and income and tax base, well, that's what you're formed to do. So when that happens, it's a beautiful thing. It's like consumer products companies saying, we research and develop products at a fair price, you know, for people and families to have a better life. Right? That's what we do. Well, what's our aspiration? Well, a better life. At a fair price. Okay. So that's where we start. Next, please. And then you're going to get the question on the street today. Hopefully you already are. What are you doing? Which I think I just put up there in the statement of intent. What is the business of this team? We've already agreed on what that is. So, you know, catch your breath. Here comes the work. Therefore, what are we going to do about it? And that's the business of today in the next 2 months. What are you going to do about it? Dan, push the button for me. All right. And I don't particularly care how many there are. I think we're going to tee up just 4, nice and simple. Those goals, remember what I said? They've got to be clear, achievable. They've got to pass the SMRC test. They've got to have adjectives. They've got to imply metrics. Matter of fact, they've got to be really proofs. If you say what they are, then somebody's going to go, oh, I think I know what you're doing. And so I'm suggesting this is a balanced scorecard of goals that are adjective-driven. We're going to provide you with 4. And you hear these goals. I have a lot of clients that go, great or faster or best, then we've got to prove it. Click that for me, and we figure out what the achievements need to be. If I give you a goal, you go, oh, really? How do you know? That's how I know. And that's what we're going to work on over the next 8 weeks with your support in commissioning today. Next, please. And if we do that, we go beyond a great idea to operating plans. And I think this is where everything catches hold. If you listen carefully and you've got your catcher's mitt on and you see there's work for you to do, and I'm looking around the room and I don't think anybody is excluded, you're going to get stuck with this, you know, and I hope you welcome it. Your organization is going to have a piece of this. Those are called operating plans. Not ideas or not nice to do. Plan A, B, C, D, E, F, whatever it takes, staged over time to get the job done. And some of you are going, oh my gosh, what's that going to include? Way over the mountain? I'm like, no, get the permit, reform the delivery system, get the next site ready, open up the right-of-way, things that this family can look at like tomorrow and go, oh, we did it. And the longer-term things related to the talent delivery system. So when we're done, we operationalize. I shouldn't say we, you operationalize. enterprise, right? Knowing where we're going, how we know we're succeeding, and somebody in charge of each plan saying, here's where we are today and here's where we're going. Next. To make it possible in a community like this, we need collaborative partners. And so I don't know whether you start the first day with 2 or 20, but we sit down in a formal way and say, here's my letterhead, this is the rudder team, you are indispensable to making these goals possible. And we actually suspect that you share these goals in some way. How about let's elevate them to your annual report and your board of trustees? Let's elevate our metrics to their attention, and we really can't get there without you. Do you hear me? We can't get there without you, and it's more than a handshake. It's coming to you at the REB and saying, are we on board or not? Shake hands, win, 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 off we go. So collaborative partners with an attitude, almost contract-like. Right? Now, who's going to lead that? Who's going to be the first and the second and the third? That's the opportunity that we have here, because this is a valley of great brands and great people and great leaders, but we haven't connected the dots. That's what this is going to do for us. Next clip, please. Last step, resources. And this is a little more complicated because, Bill's made it clear this is a virtual enterprise right now. But what we're suggesting to you that we get away from what not-for-profits do, not-for-profits here, but in other places, that say, if we said, what are your strategic goals, the not-for-profit would go, raise money, hire a lawyer, have a better portal, all that resource stuff, hire people, get better staff. No, that's in support of these things. So what I'm also trying to do is move those traditional resources off the side. If you need a lawyer, the lawyer is in support of this. You've hired a consultant. Next year, you want me to help you with something? You're going to push this across the table and say, let there be no doubt, you're helping us. Let's say I'm giving you paper for copying, right? What you do for us at a fair price is going to make these goals possible for our community. Changes everything. So I want to make sure we get the resources where they belong. That's land and building and staff and money and things like that. They're in support of these things. That way, we don't walk out the door once we get started saying, raise money. People say, what do you really intend to do? And we're talking about people and jobs and resources and tax base, not this other stuff. That means we're not serious. Right? Now, I'm done with the overview. Everything would follow from this, so I want to stop here and see. Hopefully it's simple, but how are we doing, Robert? Is it all right?
So far.
All right. You okay, Alan? Okay. And Alan, you see where you are. You're here. You might own a plan. You're over here. Go to your annual board meeting, and you're going to go, let me tell you, item A for competitiveness is this. We own this just like everybody else. Got it? Go to the REB. You're right here. But you might be down here, too. Kathy, no doubt about it, right there. All right, I'm going to keep going. Let's put some meat on the bones. What are the potential strategic objectives for this community? Increase job opportunities for the residents of Holyoke and the Pioneer Valley. What does increased mean? Is it great increase? Is it faster? It's got to be leveled in a way where somebody can go, prove it. Is it good? Is it great? How do you know? So, as a working idea, increase job opportunities for the residents of Holyoke and the Pioneer Valley. Next. Enhanced pathways to productive careers. How do you know? Next. Increased levels of private investment in Holyoke. How much? When? What kind of investments qualify? Who's tracking it? Next. Successful connection of the center and regional economic assets into a compelling integrated economic development, marketing, and delivery system.